to a brand new coffee tech break with Jan. Good to see you back on my channel again. Hopefully you got your coffee ready, because I think we got another great session today, because I want to take you through the Studio G62 setup and installation. Now, a lot of people who are familiar with Studio X, G7500, they will be swimming in the water with the G62, because on the software side that is all very similar. All the difference are, most of them are in the hardware. So for example, we got here now a dual 4K 60 output and we have also a USB-C port which includes the alt display port. So this means that if you use, for example, device mode, you got not only the camera, speaker and mic, but also screen sharing. And I will show you that all in this video. And so in my previous video, already walk you through all the different hardwares, IOs, so I'm not gonna jump into the details. I would say check that previous video and you're able to review that. In this video, I just wanna walk it all step by step, walk it through. So you got a little bit of an idea when you get the G62 in your hands, how to install it, etc. Now, what do I have here in my setup, just to walk it through? So first off, the G62. Well, the G62 comes along with an HDMI cable in the base package, so be aware. It comes along with an HDMI cable and there is a network cable coming along. These are all coming into the package, network cable and HDMI cable. Just be aware of that. There is no TC10 in the base box, so be aware of that. If you need to have a TC10, I would say you need to add that separately. And so in case of a replacement of the G7500, and you already have a TC10, of course, then you can reuse that in your environment. Now, what do I have more? I have here just a table mic, single table mic. As I said, I'm not gonna do like complex installation today, but just straightforward and probably something for the future, in combination with the G62, because I think it's a really important one, because we have here that LLM port, which I showed you also in the previous video. We have the LLM port, but it requires an injector, because there's no power coming here out of the LLM port. And most of the large installations for the large rooms will be with a Netgear Pro AV switch, of course, as an additional switch, and there you can hook up all those different devices, cameras, microphones, etc., all over IP. So in this case, for my demonstration, I will connect it up to the LLM port, and so you got a little bit of an idea how to hook up a single table mic for a pretty straightforward setup. Now, as a camera, I'm going to use the E60, so I will show you, hook it up, where it pops up in the G62 software in the web interface, and you're able to configure all those tracking options. I have TC10, so TC10 is already running, as you can see, waiting to pair it up. So I will walk you step by step through all that process. Now, before I'm gonna hook it up here to my network, let me walk you a little bit more through the housekeeping. So you will need a switch with support PoE+. You see right here, so it requires PoE+. If you don't have that, there is a separate power supply available, and I will put the SKU in the comment there, but it's a separate component. So just to be aware, it's a separate component and it injects the PoE+ on the device, and so make sure that you can use it. Now, there is an additional component, and that is the rack. So this is also a separate component. So you can order a G62 Base Kit setup, which comes with the HDMI cable and with a network cable, but there's also the kit with the mounting plate. So if you don't have a mounting plate, then you can order it separately in combination with the device. And what also comes along with the mounting plate is a USB-C cable. It's approximately 1.8 meters long, but at least you can start testing it with, for example, the device mode and playing around with that. Now, how do you connect the two? So we got G62, we got the mounting plate. Well, there are magnets underneath, and I showed you that also in my previous video. So you could easily just mount this through the plate. It's all with the magnet. Also the power supply got magnets built in, as you will see. So there is a power supply here, so it's all got magnets, and you can just tie it up very easy. I think this is a really nice solution. So if you already have like metal behind the screen, and then you don't need that additional plate, but it's a separate order to get that all available. Now, what is more good to know, I usually have in my base kit a mouse. So I'm connecting usually a mouse here to the USB-A port. So you always have the option on the screen to check the IP address, check the connectivity, etc. But I will show you that. So keep a keyboard and a mouse, and it's always handy to keep that with you in case you need to troubleshoot some things. So I got a HDMI cable here. I got a switch here underneath with PoE+. So I will hook that up here to my PoE+ port, and then we can start building and walk through the setup of the G62. So let me now hook the device up, jump into my meeting room and show you that first time setup of the G62. So I got now everything cabled up, but I quickly wanted to show you how everything is connected, so you got a little bit of an idea of the wiring. So as I said, this is just a simple setup. I didn't add any Netgear switch or something to add multiple mics, multiple cameras. This is just a simple demo setup, just for you if you want to go to a customer, if you're going to do a first time installation for demonstrations, etc. You got a little bit of an idea what you need to do. So first, let me get started. Here we got the G62. So you got it mounted on the back of the screen. You got it connected through PoE+ to the switch or to an injector. You got at least one mic, because you need a mic of course with this device. You got one camera. And how is that all wired up? Now first, be aware, I cannot mention it enough, the LLM port, there is no power. So you need to add power to that port. If you're gonna work with a single mic at the table, you gotta make sure you add that. And the other port, the LAN, is connected to the corporate LAN. And these are completely separated. It's similar as we have with the G7500. These are completely separated. So these two networks got nothing to do with each other. The LLN is just completely local network. Now, I've hooked up the E60 using a USB cable. Of course, that can also be IP if you want to have, but then you need an additional Netgear switch to make sure you got multiple ports. So in this case, for my simple setup, I just added the Poly E60 and connected that through USB port. Now what I've done, I've added an injector, because you need a PoE injector for a simple mic. So I connected the microphone, which is on the table. As you can see right here, just one single mic. There is no daisy chaining with those mics. You just connect that up to that PoE, and the PoE connected to the LAN, and then your mic should be starting up. Now the next thing is we add TC10. So I got TC10 right here, which is waiting to pair with the G62. And then lastly, what you can do is you can add a soundbar. I don't have like any soundbars, but you could add to the 3.5mm out. You could work with a soundbar to make the story complete, or connect it to an amplifier with speakers. There's a lot of possibilities there, but just wanted to show you a very simple setup. Again, I showed you in my previous video, the way you're gonna add a Netgear switch into this whole case. Then you can build this out for your large meeting rooms using the E60 over IP, using the E70 over IP. So you can go really very custom and as far as you want to with those large rooms. I think that is really powerful with the G62. Now let me jump in the meeting room now to show you the setup and walk you through those first steps to get the device running. From the wiring into the G62 demo room. So you have a little bit of an idea how to connect everything. Just a simple setup. Now I got here on the top, you see the HDMI output connected to the TV screen. You see the first time setup here, so it shows you the IP address and the serial number. So if you want to, you can still connect your laptop and use the last 6 digits of the serial number to log in. And here below you see a screen of the TC10. So it's waiting here to pair with the G62. Now, what is important that in this release, it doesn't show you a list. So you still need to punch in the IP address. And now in one of the upcoming versions, you will see a list here of devices. Of course, I will keep you updated as soon as there is a newer version with all those new functionalities. I will make sure to keep you up to date. So for now, let me click on manually connect to the room and punch in the IP address. Alright, and let me connect now. And what you should see, and this is I think a really nice one, it shows you with icons how to connect with each other. So not with a pin code, not with an IP or a name, just punch in the identical icons you see here. So star, a rocket. I think it's a really nice one. The engineering guys really thought about this. Now let me connect it up. Here you go, successfully connected. Now what it will do, it will give you the option for which provider you want to use. So I can go to Poly, I can go to Zoom rooms, I can go to Teams, so very easy. And this is what I explained in one of my previous videos. And so you don't need to connect your laptop anymore. You can just go pretty straightforward, go into the device, make sure that everything is connected, and then you can finish it up in Zoom or in Teams, and that is your final where you log in, and then you can upgrade the devices using those different video platforms. Really, really nice. So for now, let me go into the Poly and let me say next, installing Poly, checking new software. So you can see everything has been installed. So final step before it jumps into the Poly mode is upgrading to the latest version. And that means not only for the TC10, which will go to 602, that's a brand new release, and also looking at the G62, which will go from version 4.2, it will move to 4.2.2. Okay, let me click on upgrade. I would say get a cup of coffee, and we're coming back to show you that final end user experience. Alright, so fast forward, so between 15 and 20 minutes the upgrade takes, depending on your internet line, downloading and the packages, etc. So first it will upgrade your touch panel. So touch panel is already upgrading and waiting now for the G62 and G62 is finalizing with the last installation pieces, and then we should be to walk through the final setup. Here we go. So we got now the G62 running in Poly mode, but similar as you jumped into the Teams or into Zoom, etc., you will need to log in your devices with your device login, your code, and then you can also sign in those devices. So really, really nice. Now, in case you're not running the latest version, because it could be this G62 was running now 4.2, so I was able to run through that setup wizard. If your device is running an earlier version, then you first need to upgrade your G62 to the 4.2.2 release. Now, let me show you what you can do with this mouse, because I talked earlier about a mouse. Well, on the side there is a menu, as you see here. So if you need to connect and you went through the wizard and you set it in Poly mode or in Teams, you can always find in the side menu and you can find the IP address. So if you need to find the serial number, you can go here to the settings, and again you will find here the serial number of the device at the last 6 digits. So if you need to log in to the web interface where you can do some more tuning, you can hook it also up to Poly lenses. So if you didn't add configuration settings to your DHCP server, then you can also do that manually. But then you need to connect into the web interface. Now, before we jump into the web interface of all the configuration details and the poly lens, since we manage the device, let me show you some of the great features of the G62. And besides being so small and having that flexible rack mount with the magnetics, I think it's a good moment now to look at content sharing and the device mode, because this is really enhanced with the G62. Now, what I have here is a laptop, because that's for me the easiest way to demonstrate the sharing. A laptop has a USB-C port which supports that alt display mode. So I will be able to show you the sharing through that USB-C port with the G62, and also show you, of course, the device mode. Now, there's two ways. First, the traditional one, because if customers still have, for example, the G7500, replace it with the G62, I can imagine that they want to maybe reuse that functionality there with an HDMI port, with a USB port, and they can continue using that functionality, and in the future, and they might combine it through USB-C. Now, let me show you that functionality now. So I have here an HDMI port. So I got here the one which I will hook up to the laptop. Right, so I got here the HDMI port. Let me put that into the G62, the HDMI input port, just to show you quickly. And here you go. So you can share content, just very straightforward. They're using the HDMI ingest. As well as on Teams, on Zoom, and you will be able to include audio now, and it's the same with the G62. So just pretty straightforward. Now, if I take this out, so if I go into the device mode, what you will see, here you go. So now I'm ready to use the device mode. Again, I'm using now the HDMI ingest, and now in device mode, you can also share your screen, as you see right now. But now, in this way it is set up, I need to use the USB-A port to get the camera, speaker and mic as an additional. So I'm grabbing now the USB-A port, which I have right here. So I have the USB-A port, and this guy, I will connect it up to the laptop. So connecting that up now, just the traditional way, and the USB-C is inside the USB-C port on the back, the G62. So now the USB-C port is also connected. Let me go here to audio, and immediately what you will see, and also the microphone is picking up my sound here. What you'll see is the G62 is recognized as the speaker, and the G62 is recognized as the mic. All right. Now, the interesting one is the camera. So this comes, of course, from the USB-A port now. So yeah, it is black, but what you will see is I got a cover over it. Here you go. So I am right here, and just to show you that, cover this one up. So the video is there. This is G62 video, really nice. And so this is the sort of the traditional way of connecting things up. Now, let me now disconnect my HDMI port. Let me now disconnect my USB-A port. So again, using the USB-A port, just exiting the device mode now. Now, what I will do is, I've been using now the USB-C to USB-A, the traditional one, but there's also a cable which will provide USB-C to USB-C. So now I got USB-C to USB-C. Removed the USB-A port now. So I got now one cable here, and this is where it becomes interesting for the G62. Let me share content. So I'm putting this into the laptop now, and see what happens using only the USB-C port from the G62 now to the laptop. And again, we're just sharing content, really straightforward. And Again, there's no power coming through this cable from the G62. So if you need that, you need to add third-party solutions and to inject the power piece. But there's a lot of solutions out there in the market to be able to supply that. So now just sharing content, pretty straightforward. Okay, so this is content sharing. Now where it becomes interesting is if I put the G62 again in the device mode, what you will see, I can do the same thing now. Besides sharing the screen, let me show you that. So let me put that in now. All right, and you don't see that it requires USB anymore. So it recognized USB over the USB-C and it shared the screen now in the all display mode. Now again, let me go now through the settings. I got my audio settings. Yes, so it's detected G62 as mic and as speaker. Perfect. We go to the camera. Again, the camera is here. It's black because I got the cover around it just to avoid all the distractions. But remove it. And here we are again with the E60 camera. So that is all functional. So I have now one cable which you can use not only for sharing and for just in the meeting, but also in device mode. You can use one cable. Really nice. And I think this is a very powerful use case. And again, there are solutions out there to bring this to the cable, because the cable that comes along with the G62 is approximately 2 meters, so not that long. But I know we're looking into longer cables to bring to the table. And there are solutions out there which I will probably bring into a coffee tech show. There are solutions out there where you can just put this into cut and bring it to the table, and again then use the USB-C cable to the laptop, and probably will also supply you with power. Now let me jump into the configuration settings in the web interface of the G62 and how to hook it up to PolyLens. Now again, to find out the IP address, you can go here to the side menu with your mouse, just make a slide, and then you are able to figure out the IP address. The other option is by going here, if you are in the poly mode, going here below to the settings, and then you get there on a similar way. You will be able to find out the serial number right here, which will need the last 6 digits to log in. It's the first time. And on a network piece, you should be able to find the IP address. It's really straightforward. Now, with that information in mind, let me go here now into the web interface of the G62. So this is the first time probably for a lot of people that they're able to see the G62 web interface. Really nice. So it is in the poly mode again, but of course you're able to put it into the other modes. It will show you here a picture of the G62, all the information about the device, serial numbers, versions, etc. As you can see, I upgraded it to the latest version. You can see the status of the different devices that are connected. Now in the poly mode, of course, you can use it with H323 and SIP. Let me go to general settings, where it's more like general information. Usually I set the country, so I am still in the Netherlands, so I have to put it right here. As a provider, you can decide, of course, which platform you want to use. And again, you can all do this through PolyLens or pre-configure this in PolyLens, and it's all possible. So here you can put it in the Zoom mode, Teams, etc. All the providers are here. Not all of them are certified yet, but I expect that that's very soon. On the home screen, so you will be able to add a picture. I selected a picture here. Let me upload it. So this will be visible at the VUI and on the touch panel. So let me show you that quickly. Here you go. So I got my on my TV UI picture and on the touch panel. So this is not yet available, for example, in Teams, but I expect it very soon. So this will be a very nice additional solution to bring your own branding, your own layout, which you can add QR codes in here to be able to go to support or get additional information. But I think this is a really nice one. But this is working, of course, in the poly mode, the H323 SIP mode. You were able to do that today. Now let's get back here in the web interface. Select your languages, time and date. So you were able to do this all through PolyLens with predefined policies. But I just want to give you some insights in how this looks like on the G62. Looking at software version, so out of the box what you will see is that automatic updates are enabled. And so if you bring it into PolyLens, you're also able to configure this and define this all centrally. I usually recommend to, especially if you got multiple devices in your environment, to build some sort of staging. So if there is a new version that you're able to test it, create different groups, and then first upgrade one of the rooms that you define as a sort of staging room, upgrade that room and see if everything works, and then you can upgrade your other rooms. So always check those automatic upgrades. I know for most of the customers it will probably make sense to keep the devices up to date. At least it will do it at night. There's a maintenance hour in here, so it doesn't just happen during the day and then it starts upgrading. So this is all good to know. But usually I always pre-configure this in PolyLens Sensory. Now, as I showed you earlier, I got one IP mic table connected there. That is connected through PoE injector because the LLM port of the G62 doesn't supply power. So as you can see, all connected up. The TC10 is connected with the version 602. We got the Studio E60 connected there, which is also on the latest version now. If it finds multiple devices on the network, you should be able to show them up right here. So this is why your devices, if they are in a sort of network, they should all be in that same LLN network, that local network, and then they should be able to discover each other and pair them up. It's pretty straightforward. So I can, for example, here unpair the mic and just unpair it from the device, and then it will automatically go and drop down into available devices. And so other devices, multiple G62, if these are in a network, they can also discover now this device as it is in a sort of discover state. And you will also see, because it's flashing blue, so the microphone is flashing blue now, and that means, similar like with Bluetooth, it's waiting to pair it up. It's pretty straightforward. You click on pair and your devices will pair up. Here you go. Now let's look a bit further to system settings. Here you can set the sleep settings. Well, most of those settings you will be able to configure them through the Teams client or through Zoom, but there are also settings available, of course, here in the PolyOS. But again, using one of those providers, make sure you use the settings inside those applications, because that makes much more sense. So you could add digital signage. I think that is a really nice one. You can just point here to a specific URL, or you can use app space or radio. I did some videos in the past, so I will make sure I put a link there, so if you need to find out some more information on these providers, and then you're able to use able to find that very quickly. Office hours, a light bar, collaboration tool. So these are the collaboration settings. So if you want to disconnect and move back to native Teams, that is a possibility, or to native Zoom. But then, for example, you set this to immediately. So if I disconnect the USB cable, go directly connect into that native provider. So these are very nice settings. And again, I did a lot of videos specifically on those different settings. So I would really recommend it. Check out some of those other videos. And again, I can put a link right there. And so you got an idea, when you're using those collaboration tools, then how the behavior is working when you disconnect those cables. Environmental controls, that is a possibility. So you could add external controls to your panel if needed. These will show up on the touch panel, so let me show you that quickly. Alright, back into the G62 demo room. So what you immediately see is here on the right side there is a brand new button which says environment. So this one specifically is connected to an Extron. So let me go into the demo mode, which you can find here on the top right. That is, I think, a great tip. And then you can jump into one of those devices here. For example, pick up the TOP Pro, the 720. So we click on enable, and here what you will see is you can select different inputs, volume control, lightning, the screens. So there's a lot of things which you can do. Display on and off. So you got all those buttons available here, which you're able to select. Audio control. So you got here, you can do some control here on the environment there. Really nice. But this is specifically for Extron. And so what I expect in the new release coming in 4.3, the next version, we will be able to also add a custom web page. I think this is a really nice one. So you were able to add some of your own customizations, your own web portal, and use that as a control portal. Keep an eye on my channel, and as soon as that is available, I will make sure you were able to see it. Alright, back to the web interface of the G62. So these were the environmental controls. The next one is scheduled auto restart. So this one is disabled by default, because if you're going to use it, for example, the G62 in Teams mode, the Teams app already has scheduled auto restart built in, and so just be aware of it. Then you don't enable it here in the PolyOS mode, because that could lead to some conflicts between the applications. So this one is available if needed, and probably only used when you're going to use it in poly mode there. Remote control. So if you don't want the TC8 or TC10 at the table, you could use Bluetooth remote. Under networking, you got all your settings available, different LAN options, Wi-Fi, so you hook it up to the Wi-Fi, the G62, it's also a possibility. Well, call configuration, as we're using it in the poly mode, you see additional settings, of course. You can use it in Teams or Zoom, and you don't see those HTTP and SIP call settings, because then all the applications will do the video, the audio, and the video handling. Then we go to the monitor settings. Well, we got dual monitor output on the G62, and within Zoom you can even add that third one. This is what I discussed in my previous video. 4K 30 on 2 screens. Those really powerful. On the audio side, well, all the innovations you know, like noise block AI, sound reflection reduction, these are all available also in the G62. So you could add acoustic vents, if you got table mics and ceiling mics, and create sort of environment where only the sound is picked up with that specific environment, and all the sound outside that area will be picked up. We got enable here USB audio, that is if you want to use third-party audio providers like Sennheiser, Shure, Biamp, QSC, and all those external DSPs, then you need to enable this setting. And here you see the mic is doing its work. It's sitting here next to me, the IP mic, so it's grabbing all the audio from my side. Now the 3.5mm port, that's an interesting one, because that has also an echo cancelled when you play back to the far sides. So that means the audio is not coming back into your own environment. So this echo cancelled, playback to far sides, mute controlled, and echo cancelled. So you could be able to you're able to use that functionality with the 3.5mm port. Then we got the HDMI audio level, so you could change here some settings. We got audio output, so you could change that to the 3.5mm port, or use that with the 3.5mm port and the speakers, so over the HDMI. And then we got a line out, which you can set to variable or fixed. Now, on the video side, you see also some interesting things. I guess most of the settings which we know from Studio X are available on the G62, of course. We got the E60 connected there over USB, and set here some settings of the E60. Here you got your tracking options, which is in this version limited to frame group, but wait for the next version, then we should be able also to see there the presenter tracking and things, but I will handle that in the next video. And here you got some settings for your HDMI input. Then on the security side, well, here there's a lot of things you can do. You can disable all the USB ports if you want to. There's a lot of customization here. Certificates, if you want to use, for example, SCAP, that's also available on the G62. Of course, also available on the TC10. So you're able to enroll certificates automatically with these devices. Here is more around the accounts, etc. The provisioning. So you could set up the provisioning here. So if you want to hook it up to PolyLens, then you're able to add here the configuration settings, SNMP, cloud settings. Now these were all the settings locally on the G62. Now if you want to integrate with PolyLens, you can do that manually by fitting in all the environment settings from your PolyLens, or you can do that automatically by adding the settings from PolyLens into the DHCP server, and then it will automatically grab that information from the network as soon as it boots up. Now let me fill in the information and show you also the device in PolyLens, and I will do that manually for now, so you got a little bit of an idea how that looks like when you want to manage this centrally through PolyLens. So you enable here the provisioning. Now you go here to basic. So we go to lens.poly.com. Here we are in my provisioning environment because we need to grab the settings from my Coffee Tech account. We go to the account settings, we go to the device provisioning, and here you are able to find all the information. So we copy here the provisioning URL, we copy that here inside the provisioning server environment, and we punch in the password. We click on save. This will bring the G62 into the Coffee Tech environment, and I just wanted to show you just very quickly. We got now 11 devices, but after it's registered, and it's registered now, and let me refresh this. And here you go. We got now new devices in my environment, and I should be able to find, let me search for G62, and here you go. It's up and running, it's online, it's linked. Should be able to show you that with TC10, with the IP table, Studio E60. It's active provisioning, so I can click on it for more details. Here you go, fully provisioned. So I think it's a really nice one. Now I can centrally just change all certain settings, and here below you can find all more information on the devices, again software versions, the IP mic table, E60. Go into the audio and video settings, and here you also will be able to change, for example, the noise block AI settings. You can set time and date, you can change the software versions. So I've set it now to disable, so this is a policy within my environment, so as soon as a new device is onboarding, I'm disabling it, because I always want to make sure that I have control over the different software versions being used, and not that I hook up a device to my environment and it immediately starts updating, because maybe I haven't paired the touch panel yet or anything like that. So you'll be able to configure that in your Lens environment. Now what more is available? I have restart available, I have factory reset available, and after that it will automatically reread the provisioning environment settings. So this is really a factory reset which you can do remotely. I think a really nice one. And one of the other actions is restart all devices. So that means restarting also the TC10 or TC8 panel. So this was just a quick snapshot of the PolyLens environment. And here ends the Coffee Tech Break session for today. We will do more sessions on the G62 because this was just a small setup just to get you some and show you some hands-on. That's the simple design, but of course there's a lot of things where adding Netgear switches, etc. There's a lot of things you can do, building up the environment, using IP mics, using more cameras over IP. So there's a lot of things which you can do with the G62. Now, hopefully you enjoyed it. Just be aware, I will put all the references under the video, so everything is available for you if you're looking for more information. Thank you for watching, and I'm always looking forward to see you back in the next video.